on MySpace. That one kills me. All right, he was the chief White House ethics lawyer under President George W. Bush. He was now professor of corporate law at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. Please. So say goodbye to the mall now, while you still can, because soon it will be a civilization gone with the wind. And then, where will we go to eat oversized pretzels and hot dogs on a stick? Where will our teenagers go to wander aimlessly? And our elderly population to get exercise? Where will our children go at Christmas when it's time to sit them on a pedophile's lap? Super Christian Mike Pence, seen here cringing from an air kiss because you don't know how far syphilis can jump. Mike Pence conveniently forgot the famous line from the Bible, "Thou shalt not grabbeth thy pussy," when he gave Trump the cover he needed to survive Pussygate, as did Christian Jeff Sessions, who, when asked if he thought uninvited groping was sexual assault, said, "I don't know, it's not clear how that would occur." Sure, Jeff, it really depends on the circumstance. Like, for example, if you saw a pussy about to fall off a cliff, you'd want to be able to grab it without political correctness getting in the way.
You're going out so fast your head will spin.
So which do you like better, winning so much you're tired of winning, or having your head spin?
The heads would spin, your head will spin.
Winning. Your head will spin. Winning big league. It's too much winning. We can't take it anymore.
Order now, and we will throw in everything.
I will give you everything. I will give you what you've been looking for 30, 40, 50 years.
Really? Everything? Everything, he said. Okay, I won't mock you anymore. You're not the first people to be fooled by a guy like Donald Trump.
What's your name? Stanley Gowalski. Polish, eh? What a coincidence. Rudy Polanski, how are you?
No sense crying over spilt snake oil. New rule, someone must remind the 3 UCLA basketball players caught stealing sunglasses from a store in China. If you want to get away with shoplifting, don't do it in a country where you're 4 feet taller than everyone else. New rule, the man in England who moved into the woods for a decade to avoid his wife must be required to give toasts at all rehearsal dinners. And, you know, somebody said, boy, that must be the craziest thing a guy ever did to get away from his wife. And Bruce Jenner said, here, hold my beer. The new chief at NASA has no science background either. He ran the Air and Space Museum in Tulsa. He doesn't know how rockets work. He knows how much to charge for a T-shirt that says, I got a peek at Uranus. Victoria Barton, 2 years ago, was a bartender. Now she does congressional relations for HUD. And when things are slow, she cuts up limes. She's working alongside Lynn Patton, who came to the attention of Trump's crack team of headhunters because she was Eric Trump's wedding planner. Now, in her defense, she did tell the DJ not to play Moni Moni. You probably have noticed in America lately that there's something wrong with dudes. The recent stories of sexual harassment are about many things, like misogyny and white privilege and old-fashioned being a pig, but I'm telling you, there is something toxic about this male laziness. If Harvey Weinstein had made even a minimal effort, join Jenny Craig. Shaved, listened, generally tried to not look like a Russian cab driver. He could have attracted women the old-fashioned way, by being rich and not entirely repulsive. You know, Joni Ernst is going as your high school gym teacher's roommate. Paul Ryan is going as an emotionally damaged former child star. Betsy DeVos is going as a woman who just found out her new neighbors are Mexican. Yeah, that's exactly. Mike Pence is going as the guy who always tells his barber, a little shorter, I don't want to be mistaken for a beetle. Steve Bannon, there we go. He's going as that weird shit you see growing on trees. And Don Jr. and Eric Trump are going as the top of a gay wedding cake. Okay, let's bring out Joy. She's a co-host of ABC's The View, an author of... And she's got an interesting profile. She believes she was abducted by aliens when she was 7 and taken aboard their spaceship, and believes that in the ensuing years they sometimes telepathically communicate with her, and that the Coral Castle, anyone from Miami, that's a tourist attraction down there, it's made of limestone, is actually an ancient Egyptian pyramid. Not the same one that Ben Carson thinks that has a grain in it, but... So, you know, the Republicans, they always turn into a skid, and they just embrace it. So she's not shying away from these beliefs. We got a hold of some of her campaign posters. Bettina Aguilera, I see a shining city hovering over my house. Vote for me, or my intergalactic overlords will harvest your tissue to feed their pod spawn. Are you better off than you were 4 light years ago? I know light years is a measure of distance. Don't write me, nerds. We'll have some seminars for the people there, like how to be an anti-Semite and still love Seinfeld. The importance of spell checking your tattoo. Plastic surgery for supremacists. How to be genetically superior when genetics let you down. Tracing the roots of American jazz all the way back to Kenny G. Only you can prevent Forrest Whitaker. Why penis size doesn't matter to women. Reserve early, spots fill up quickly. And, of course, if we're the superior race, why do we all work at Denny's? Okay, he is the supernova of the Big Bang Theory, an executive producer and narrator. I once caught Mike Pence trying on my stilettos. Well, my Secret Service code name is that poor, poor woman. I copied this list from Michelle Obama. Well, sometimes when I bounce light off my diamond, Donald's hair will chase it like a cat. I wish I knew why I have a recurring dream I'm pinned beneath a giant orange sack of shit. And if I could tell my younger self just one thing, it would be this. If you catch a leprechaun and he gives you one wish, be more specific. You'll just number your damn elevator buttons like everybody else. I want to get back to my room, not do a word jumble. Besides, Beyonce's sister is beating the shit out of me, and I can't even get the door open. Man, this doesn't look like something that happened right after a visit to the opera. Looks like Maury Povich just told her the test came back. New rule, at some point, GM just has to tell us which cars aren't recalled. And if you own a GM car, don't wait for the next recall. Just take it to the dealer now, leave it, and do that action movie thing where you walk away as it explodes. New rule, don't tie your newborn baby. Jim, you lost your... Don't tie your newborn baby to the train of your wedding dress. I'm not surprised this happened. I'm just surprised Kanye didn't think of it first. New rule. All right, new rule. It's been 20 years. OJ doesn't have to tell us if he did it, but he does have to explain why when the gloves didn't fit. Even he looked surprised. Wait, does this mean I actually didn't kill my wife? New rule. Someone has to have a stern talking to with the Iraqi colonel who said, I am as broken and ashamed as a bride who is not a virgin on her wedding night. When his unit got overrun by rebels. Colonel, that's not really a fair analogy. A bride who's not a virgin at least knows what she's doing. And she hangs in there until the shooting stops. You, my friend, are more like the groom who couldn't get it up. All right, new rule. The criminal in this mugshot that went viral last week must hook up with the lady from this mugshot that went viral 2 years ago and rob the shit out of Abercrombie and Fitch. You know, because they're good looking. All right, new rule. Any fix for immigration must be bipartisan. Hillary Clinton must contribute all her unsold books to building a wall. And Democrats must allow ace goalie Tim Howard to set up on the border and keep out those kids. Swat them back one at a time. Okay. New rule. Someone has to tell Gerard Butler to get out of that car. And run. Don't look back, just run. Although I am glad to see he got that job with Uber. All right, new rule. The attendees at the Apex Summit have to come up with a better way to show unity than all dressing the same. You're world leaders, not bridesmaids. And if we have to dress like that when we go there, when they come here, they have to dress in traditional American garb. All right, new rule. Now that they've wrestled his approval rating down to the basement and grabbed both houses of Congress, Republicans must explain why this guy keeps kicking your ass. It's like one of those action movies where you tie the hero up and chain him to a chair, and then he headbutts you unconscious and gets up and leaves a note signed Django.
Not Django.
New rule. Americans who couldn't get interested in the World Cup, no matter how hard they tried, have to stop feeling guilty about it. It doesn't mean that we're not sophisticated. All it proves is that unemployed people will watch anything. On the bright side, it has reminded the German people how good it feels to be whipped into a nationalistic frenzy, and what could go wrong with that? All right, new rule. When a giant Siberian mystery crater appears out of nowhere, geologists need to call it something scarier than a pingo. A pingo? That's a cute little baby dingo. That's a pingo. An icy black Russian hellhole? That's a Putin. New rule. Men who get a vasectomy and then change their minds and have that vasectomy reversed are too indecisive to father children and have to get another vasectomy. Go find that one guy out there, will you?
There he is. He's over there. There he is. Right there.
No. All right. New rule.
Most impressive part of the show.
Really?
But you're going to go into a little stand-up act here.
Jerry.
And I'm going to sit right next to you. I have a stand-up act myself.
Oh.
And I'm not going to do it.
I may call you from the bullpen. New rule, when Dick Cheney says it's killing time, he has to look less happy. Or just wear Pharrell's hat. You know, this face doesn't say reluctant warrior. It says, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. All right, new rule. Don't answer the phone to tell me you can't talk right now. It tells me that I am almost, but not quite, important enough for you to interrupt what you're doing. Yeah, I could have let it go to voicemail, but I wanted to insult you in person. It's like your wife stripping down and pinching her nipples to tell you she's not in the mood. All right, new rule. Someone has to tell the woman who claims to have cosmetically added a third breast so as to drive away men that many people actually find 3 boobs fascinating. How else can you explain the popularity of Fox and Friends? All right, new rule. The Tokyo company that makes this futon overcoat, yes, a futon overcoat that, get this, then becomes a bed, must realize it will never catch on here in America. There's no beverage holder. New rules. New rule, Missouri Congressman Billy Long has to stop worrying about the slim chance that Ebola might kill him and start worrying about the real chance that fried chicken will. Congressman, really, I think your collar is trying to tell you something. Because this is what I call not erotic asphyxiation. Who's your tailor, the Boston Strangler? New rule, if you use one of these gadgets to take a selfie, then I get to use one of these gadgets to knock it out of your hand. New rule, the next time GM gives a World Series MVP a pickup truck, they should make sure it hasn't been recalled. Because the one they just gave Madison Bumgarner already was. Either that or make an ad that goes, "You just won the World Series. Where are you going next?" Through the windshield. Well, if we have to have hillbillies on TV, how about we bring back these hillbillies? At least Jed Clampett wasn't comparing gay sex to fucking a possum. And if you're that taken with a bunch of backwards religious cranks with long beards issuing ridiculous pronouncements, move to Iran. They've got tons of them there. New rule, if the Russians are so freaked out about gays, they have to explain why the bathrooms at their Olympics look like this. Is this a mistake, or was the architect George Michael? And I thought things were awkward in those 2-man bobsleds. New rule, since the business of Netflix is showing movies, they have to explain why they make it deliberately impossible to find a movie. It's like having a used car lot, and when people ask where the cars are, you say, "Ha ha, fuck you, we've scattered them all over town." New rule. Senator Rand Paul can tweet a picture of himself when he was a teenager, excited to meet Ronald Reagan, but not if he's covering up an obvious boner. I know you're a libertarian, Rand, but it looks like you need a little more regulation in your pants. Meeting Reagan is an honor, but don't let it go to your head. New rule, if you spent your life teasing snakes like Pastor Jamie Coots, the star of Snake Salvation, did, and then one kills you, as it did, the people at your funeral cannot use the words shock, tragedy, or sad. And it's only fair, since the snake prevailed, that it must be given its own show called Keeping Up with the Copperheads. New rule, Bibi Netanyahu has to tell us whether he was giving German Chancellor Angela Merkel this shadow Hitler mustache on purpose. Because when it comes to snapping off a picture at an inopportune moment, two can play at that game. New rule, nope. All right, new rule. Stop over-regulating the porn industry. The Canadian government is seriously enforcing the law that says at least 35% of porn shown in Canada must be Canadian-made. Because what's sexier than a girl saying, "I'm coming, eh?" And you know, it's hard to make Canadian porn. Every time they try to pull each other's shirts off, a hockey fight breaks out. New rule, the Channel 5 morning news team, people out here recognize this, the Channel 5 morning news team that freaked out when a small earthquake hit LA this week has to rename itself Good Morning Pussies. And stop calling news anchor Chris Schaubel the face of the earthquake and call him what he really is, the face of shitting your pants. New rule, now that Nissan is recalling 1 million cars with airbag problems, joining GM, of course, who recalled almost 3 million, and Honda, which announced that it's recalling 900,000 minivans for fire risk, someone must tell me, why is there still so much traffic? No, I don't need your pity. Actually, I do, so please. New rule, don't feel sad for Mickey Rooney wherever he is. Feel sad for us still here with Sheldon Adelson. Look how young this guy's hand is. It's like a baby's hand. Did he buy that? Everybody in Nevada, quick, check if your baby has hands. Their heads. Once those mysterious soldiers in unmarked uniforms get done reclaiming eastern Ukraine for Russia, they must come here and reclaim Nevada from this asshole. New rule, the unit of time between when something racial happens in America and when Rush Limbaugh says something about it that sounds even worse will be known as a dick. New rule, even though moms eat free at Hooters this Mother's Day, don't bring your mother to Hooters. And I'll tell you why. Because when Mom says, "I carried you in my body for 9 months, why am I at a titty bar?" And you say, because it's free, it's not going to make it better. New rule, moms returning this Play-Doh cake mountain toy because they're offended by its shape have to stop acting like that's the embarrassing part. The embarrassingest part is when you get home and have to explain to your kids why you have an even bigger one in the panty drawer. New rule, stop trying to create controversy when a biopic doesn't tell the whole story. It's a movie, not a murder confession. But that's the knock against 3 of this year's Oscar contenders. Selma, Unbroken, and Foxcatcher. They left things out. You know what you get when you don't leave things out? 19 hours of The Hobbit. It's a movie. If I want to hear every single pointless, soul-crushing detail of a stranger's life, I'll follow them on Instagram. Well, Mohamedou Slahi, the Guantanamo Bay prisoner whose published diary of torture claims the 2 female guards once came into his cell and said, "Today, we're going to teach you about great American sex," and then forced him to take part in a three-way, has to admit that part wasn't so bad. Just got that promotion. Dude, you're so gay. New rule, stop calling these estate sales. You live in Canoga Park, not Foxcatcher Farm. You're selling old clothes and VHS copies of the Police Academy movies to illegal immigrants. You're not Lord of the Manor. You're too cheap to donate to Goodwill. I know. New rule, Kim Kardashian must...
Oh my.
Kim Kardashian must cover that up before she really does break the internet. In Kim's latest photo spread, she appears to be outdoors, smoking with no pants on. An image that appeals to men whose sexual fantasy is catching a homeless woman taking a dump in an alley.
Is that really Kim Kardashian?
I don't know which is more embarrassing for Kim, constantly having to market her ass, or the cars lining up behind her waiting to see the drive-in movie. That's it. Big ass. If you stop at one of those dumpy casinos right over the Nevada border because Vegas is another 30 minutes away and you just can't wait that long, you have to go to a meeting. Neural, now that those two guys who climbed that mile-high rock wall are down, and the hottest thing in sports is the Tough Mudder, an obstacle course where competitors carry 200-pound logs, swim in ice water, dodge live electrical wires, and crawl through pipes full of mud. Someone must explain to me, what is wrong with white people? Well, Bill O'Reilly and Brian Williams must co-host a new evening news program called Eyewitness News. Not eyewitness news. This is eyewitness news, where the two anchors take turns describing events they saw in photos or happened to other people. Watch Bill O'Reilly in the studio throw to Bill O'Reilly reporting from Syria, who tosses to Brian Williams, who's live in Tokyo, who then throws back to the newsroom, and your host, Brian Williams. Okay, new rule: if Secret Service agents are going to get drunk and crash their car into the White House, they at least have to try to hit one of the nuts jumping the fence. I don't know what's more embarrassing, the accident itself or the fact that they were so drunk they accidentally locked their hookers in the car. New rule: if this rich creep really dressed as an old deaf woman to get away with murder, HBO has to start hounding Miso Akawa, the world's oldest woman. Because I'm pretty sure she's Sheldon Adelson. No, before Amy's Kitchen recalls all their gluten-free tofu breakfast wraps because there may be listeria in the spinach, they have to tell us what listeria tastes like, because if it tastes good at all, I say leave it in. I'm glad that cities are finally taking the bicycle seriously and creating special lanes for cyclists, but they have to make them look a little less like crime scenes. I want to see where I'm supposed to ride, not what my chalk outline is going to look like after I get flattened by a texting teen in a Ford Focus. There were North Korean textbooks can claim Kim Jong-un writes musicals, won a yacht race in grade school, and learned to drive when he was 3. But they can't claim this is his picture. I mean, I don't like kids and I hate dictators, but this is adorable. I'm not even starving in North Korea and I want to eat them up. And driving at 3, that's a very young age to learn to not signal. New rule: if you make your living stalking and killing innocent animals, as professional game hunter Ian Gibson did, and you're leading a safari to kill elephants, as Ian Gibson was, and during that safari an elephant tramples you to death, good. And by the way, we know the elephant is the nobler of the two, because when the hunter wins, it's the greatest moment of his life. And when the elephant wins, it's, ew, what did I step in? Oh, the winner of Saturday night's Mayweather-Pacquiao fight has to take on Baltimore Slap Mom. And the winner of that has to fight Suge Knight's car. Nero, the Chinese zookeeper who had...
Oh, wow.
Who licked a constipated leaf monkey's anus for a full hour, so the monkey could pass a peanut it had swallowed whole, has to show us the peanut. I'm not saying you plotted your whole career as a cover story so you could lick a monkey's ass. I am only saying we'd all feel a hell of a lot better if we saw the peanut. New rule: when Courtney Love is accused of not paying her bills, you can't report it as news. Courtney's psychiatrist says she owes him $48,000, and that's just for steam cleaning the couch. Now that Dennis Hastert can be added to the list of those who pushed for the impeachment of Bill Clinton, then later got busted for their own sex scandals, along with Newt Gingrich, Bob Livingston, and Henry Hyde. From now on, the four of them must be referred to as the impeachable. Maybe you could be in that one, too. New rule: the geniuses who just announced Apple Music, the new killer app that features professional humans instead of machines constructing real-time playlists, have to be congratulated for inventing radio. New rule: Jessica Chastain and Bryce Dallas Howard must star in a movie that answers a question I've had for a long time. What happened to those two little girls in The Shining? New rule: the developers of the sex doll, capable of blinking, opening its mouth, and having a conversation with you, must realize that the whole point of having sex with a doll is that afterward no one's asking you, what are you thinking? You know you're a loser when you drop $10,000 on one of these dolls and after sex it says, we need to talk. New rule: the makers of the pot of gold at the... It's real, folks. It's real. The makers of the pot of gold at the end of the Rainbow St. Patrick's Day cookie cutter have to stop wondering why the cookies come out soft. It's not you, honey. It's St. Patrick's Day. A guy has a little too much to drink. It could happen to anybody. Have a cookie. New rule: Columbia House, the 13 albums for $1 people, must not be allowed to file for bankruptcy as they did this week. They must be charged with crimes against humanity. Who will speak for the millions who were forced to buy Spandau Ballet, Men at Work, and Laura Branigan albums they did not want, or that Bruce Willis Bruno album? And who will hold to account the company that invented the long-term contract you can never get out of before Verizon and Comcast perfected it? Now that Idaho has had to replace their highway's mile 420 markers with ones that read mile 419.9 because potheads predictably kept stealing the signs that say 420. They have to turn it into a math problem. If a carload of stoners starts out traveling at 19 miles an hour in the fast lane and stops to giggle at the mile 69, how long before they realize they're headed in the wrong direction? Fox News must capitalize on the current mood of their viewers and create their very first children's show, Anchor Babies. Laugh and learn along with Jesus, Wang, and Muhammad as they steal your hearts the way they stole their citizenship. They're adorable and they're deportable. They're adorptable. New rule: Native Americans have to concede that rain dances don't work. Look, the Southwest has no... I love the way they were like, wait a second. Are you making fun of Indians, Bill? Rain dances don't fucking work, people. My lawn is now made of dirt. I think it's time to admit that the only time dancing makes it rain is around midnight at the Spearmint Rhino. Somebody needs to tell the autocorrect in my phone that I often do use the word either and don't want to change it to wither. In fact, the only time I want to type the word wither is to write, I hope the guy who invented autocorrect lives to see his balls wither and fall. New rule, stop acting like this viral video of the rat making off with an entire slice of pizza is cute. That could have been a meal for a homeless person. And for dessert, he could have had the pizza. New rule, cut some slack to the Alabama Walmart that was selling gun oil, which is a personal lubricant used by gay men, selling it in their actual gun department. It's Alabama. You'll find their cheese nips in the Asian food section. Oh, don't leave a brother hanging. That's it. New rule, now that ISIS has opened an amusement park for kids, someone has to break it to them that their image is still going to be somewhat negative. But meanwhile, welcome to Jihad City, the angriest place on earth, where you can visit Yesterdayland, throw stones at an adulterer to win a stuffed bear, and enjoy the photo booths that are set up all over the park. Oh, wait, those are the women. New Raymond Perry, the New Mexico man accused of beating his friend to death because they were binge watching The Walking Dead, and he suddenly thought his friend was turning into a zombie, has to remind me never to watch porn with him. New rule, now that he's released his new book with this tension-filled cover pose, Donald Trump must show us the rest of the photo. New Los Angelinos have to stop freaking out about the Navy shooting off ballistic missiles. It hasn't rained here in 4 years. Anything that falls from our sky and isn't Harrison Ford is a nice change. You're the woman in this Australian wine ad who sets who sets the wine glass there and says, "Taste the bush," has to explain to Americans under 50 years old, what's a bush? New rule, since last week it was revealed that Winnie the Pooh is a girl, not a boy. Winnie must go all the way and come out as a lesbian. Come on, it's obvious. Her face is always buried in someone else's honeypot.
See?
I scared them from booing me. It worked. New rule. Oh, say, can you see? Yes, I can, and thanks. This is Ciara singing the national anthem this week. She sang it great, even though I totally forgot which country we were honoring. New rule, someone must tell hipsters that instead of paying over $100 for Levi's new wedgie fit jeans that are worn high around the waist and lift and separate your ass cheeks, you could just try pulling up your pants. Hillary has to stop doing this. It doesn't look like you're acknowledging someone in the crowd. It looks like you're shooting lightning from your fingertips like Emperor Palpatine. All right, new rule. Those who hate the idea of Donald Trump becoming president must admit it would be fun watching that thing on his head turn gray. New rule. Now that the city of Whitesboro, New York, is finally getting rid of its culturally insensitive logo of a white settler choking a Native American. Oh, my gosh. Is there anything you would like to say, aisle 7 at the grocery store? New rule, somebody needs to inform me whether this sign means that this parking spot is reserved for the handicapped or reserved for the Kardashians. They have big asses. And new rule, since Donald Trump's success has caused a 1,000% increase in the Google search of how to move to Canada, we must shift our focus from a southern border wall to keep Mexicans out and start thinking about a northern border wall to keep Americans in. Oh, you Canadians are going to love it when 500,000 liberals in yoga pants swarm across your border. They won't just demand asylum, they'll also demand gluten-free pumpernickel and a job that lets them bring their dog to work.
Start the clock.
And have you seen this psycho who will not only blindly repeat anything Trump says, no matter how crazy?
We know for a fact you have massive numbers of non-citizens registered to vote in this country.
But is such an ass licker, he licks the ass of people who lick Trump's ass.
I do want to say that Sean Spicer, as always, is 100% correct, and that what he said is true and important, and I agree with it.
You know, without these professional liars and deniers, there's no Trump. It takes a village to help a man-child stay in power. And the excuse, I'm just doing my job, is starting to sound an awful lot like I was just following orders. And I hate to tell you, but those truck driver jobs, they're the next to go when driverless cars become commonplace. Because whether you're in retail or in coal mining or used to work at Blockbuster, it's the same story. When someone comes along with a better idea, you get shit-canned. Thousands of Americans used to work as lamplighters, going around town lighting the gas streetlights at night. Then Edison came along with his light bulb. Why didn't President Grant do something to stop that? Because you can't stop progress. So Pronto makeup. What if he installs his own orb? What if instead of pardoning the White House turkey, he starts fucking it? What if he puts his son-in-law in charge of Middle East peace? Oh, we did that.
Too late.
What if he invites everyone into the bathroom on Air Force One to see his Air Force Two? What if he meets the Queen and rings her left nipple like a doorbell? What if he declares Newt Gingrich's wife America's national bird? What if he spent hours every day in front of the orangutan cage at the National Zoo yelling, "Am I good enough now, Daddy? Am I?" It's Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction.
I'm not going to be ignored there.
America, where pork and beans not only gets its own shelf, it gets its own aisle. America, duck. Come to America, because let's face it, your country sucks more. All right. He is an author, founder of 350.org, and scholar in residence at Middlebury College. And yes, the whole thing was disgusting, but so is openly humiliating your first wife, the mother of your children, while you romance your future second wife in public. But again, Trump supporters just make a different calculation. They say, no, I don't like cheating and pussy grabbing, but hey, this ain't a friendly fight. This is a battle for the soul of the country. And it is. And since it is, Democrats should be allowed to put our alpha pervs back on the board. People, new rule, if you're this dumb
and prepared with an answer.
An explanation from President Obama, and we never got one from him, did we?
What does he have to explain?
Where he was born. Just show his birth certificate. I have mine at home in my safe deposit
He did
box.
show it.
No.
Then you can't have a dog. Because it's smarter than you, and that's not how this whole master pet thing is supposed to work. Or maybe I'm confused and the dog rescued you from a box behind the 7-Eleven. Well, now that Playboy has eliminated pictures of naked women, and this month features a fully clothed Muslim woman wearing a hijab, they must be congratulated for finally giving readers what they want. I can't tell you how many times as an adolescent, leafing through Playboy, I'd say to myself, this is good. This is very good. But you know what would make it even better? More clothing and religious overtones. New rule, the people... Oh, you're not going to like this one. The people who participate in the ultra-Orthodox atonement ritual of Kaparot, where you swing a live chicken over your head 3 times and read Bible passages while someone else holds a baby, have to look me in the eye and tell me there's not some point in the ceremony where you're thinking, what the fuck are we doing? Before rolling your eyes at the new men's fashion trend of shorts made out of old Afghans, consider the fact that they're perfect for those times that you're nuts. Want to feel like they're taking a nap on grandma's couch.
Oh, man, that's ugly.
New rule, stop asking what happened to Hamburger Helper's 5th finger. What do you think it is? It's in your hamburger. New rule, computer geeks need to explain why my computer always needs to take a moment to think it over when I ask it to print something. Save, right away. Check my email, way ahead of you, boss. Print, hold on. Look, it's just a boarding pass. It's not the beginning of a relationship. It won't help to make me wait before you put out. New rule, Ruth Bader Ginsburg must live forever. And in the event she doesn't, the Weekend at Bernie's guys must prop her up and walk her around Washington for the next 4 years. New rule, it's now liberals' turn to become doomsday prepping gun nuts. They just need survival products tailored to our lifestyle, like freeze-dried kale and quinoa salad, pomegranate-scented emergency candles, camouflage in Pantone spring fashion colors of pale dogwood and hazelnut, and most importantly, the Apple Eye Defender. It's like any other shotgun, just twice as expensive, only accepts Apple's proprietary eye shells, and they remove the barrel sight to make it thinner. Neural, the pollsters who found that 9 in 10 Native Americans are not offended by the Redskins name must next poll gay men to see if they're offended by the Packers. New rule, wait for your wife. When they say behind every great man is a woman, they don't mean 20 feet behind. Neural, the guy with this bumper sticker on his car has to tell me what I'm supposed to do with this information. Do I hop out of my car in traffic, knock on your window, and when you roll it down, say, "So, you like kayaking, huh?" New rule, pretty girls can be gangsta too. Meet Sarah Seawright, who was arrested for aggravated robbery, kidnapping, and battery, and who's become an internet sensation because she's a real knockout. And by that I mean she'll sneak up behind you at the ATM and knock you the fuck out. New rule, whatever happens to free trade in the next 4 years, America must never let England sell us clown meat. Clown meat. It's like the circus came to town in your mouth. By the way, if Hillary is looking for a nickname to get back at Trump for saying Crooked Hillary, I think clown meat might fit the bill. Clown meat. New rule, Canada's Joanne Barnaby, who claims she was out picking wild mushrooms when she was confronted by a hungry wolf, and then cleverly lured the wolf towards a bear so the bear would attack the wolf, has to tell us what kind of mushrooms and how many did she eat. New rule, now that America has flown its flags at half-staff more than any time in our history, let's change our policy to always keep our flags at half-staff and only raise them when something awesome happens, like Bieber falling in a hole. New rule, since no one is really sure if Caitlyn Jenner still has her balls, Sports Illustrated must be more careful with the titles of their cover stories. New rule, now that for the first time in 30 years a Spanish bullfighter has been gored to death in the ring, instead of mourning the toreador, how about congratulating the bull? He's broken a 30-year losing streak. The least he deserves is an endorsement deal with Red Bull. Well, just because Donald Trump mentioned gay people last night doesn't mean he really cares. In fact, I bet that until someone corrected him during rehearsal, he thought LGBTQ was pronounced LGBTQ. New rule, if you're a famous big box retailer with a pro-family reputation and you sell this massager at your store, and this one, and this one, congratulations, you're in the sex toy business. Well, now that skydiver Luke Akins has shown he can plummet 25,000 feet with no parachute and land in a 100-foot by 100-foot net, he has to explain to his wife why he's unable to get his underpants in the hamper. Newell, now that we know that the protesters at Dancing with the Stars who attacked Ryan Lochte did it because he embarrassed Americans, they have to tell me why they ran right by Rick Perry. Rick Perry once had the same job as George W. Bush and stood out as the dumb one. Nero, someone has to tell the makers of the movie It about a painted-up clown who scares the shit out of everybody. You're a little late. And we did not elect a swamp-draining reformer. We gave our PIN number to a Nigerian prince. There is no more self-evident. We didn't think we had to write down when Russians or Nazis attack America. Side with America. We didn't think we had to write down, don't run your crime family from the Oval Office. Don't threaten to throw your political opponents in jail. Don't talk shit in front of children. Bernie Sanders, not actually the party of Bernie Sanders. The Democrats preferred 2-1 by non-citizens. The Democrats, let us win one or we'll run Chelsea. The Democratic Party, wait, we thought everyone got a trophy. The Democratic Party, float like a butterfly, sting also like a butterfly. Democrats, going down the shitter in the bathroom of your choice. And the Democrats, check this out.